Digital 410 Productions proudly presents the What's in Your Head podcast.
Digitized live from the ACT Computer Studios in Cape Coral, Florida, it's the What's in Your Head podcast with your hosts Gordon and Don Abernathy.
What's up, OG5? It's another Monday episode, and well, we all made it through the weekend. And joining us always from Las Vegas, Nevada, Gordon Abernathy. Gordon, how are you doing tonight?
I'm all right.
Just a
Yeah, just an
Well, you know, I guess an is about as good as you can do in some
Digital
whoops, wrong
410.
button. And we have a special guest tonight, but before I bring him on, I just want to play a clip that if you guys are on TikTok, you may be aware of this. It popped up on your For You page recently. Here we go.
Then we've got a second pack of monkeys because why not? Florida's got multiple packs of monkeys.
We've also got skunk ape.
I don't need your help right now. Just hold the tail while I fuck the monkey, okay? Keep it inside. I have the sharing stick right now. Why would you try to give an autistic person additional facts? Like,
Joining us from Gainesville, Florida, via Zoom, Aj-Wilkerson. AJ, thanks for hanging out with us tonight, man. That came across my timeline, and I was just laughing my ass off because, one, most people don't realize, yes, Florida has monkeys thanks to an old, 1940s production of Tarzan that they filled up in Gainesville, where the set production guys are like, hey, we need fucking monkeys, man. And so they released monkeys into the wild because, hey, why not? It's Florida, and we love non-indigenous species. And so, yeah, how do you... Heckling has got to be one of the key things you got to learn how to handle quickly when doing live stand-up, right?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you guys for having me. Yeah, like heckling is, it doesn't happen a lot, around here, but obviously, different places, and you get the occasional, drunk person at a show and stuff. So, yeah, it's something you have to learn pretty quickly, especially if you want to get good at it. So.
Well, one of the things I find I have a problem with when I'm at a live show and somebody starts heckling, I almost want to stand up and tell the heckler to shut the fuck up, because as usually the comedian says, hey, these people are here they paid to watch us, not for you to come destroy the show. And especially, I couldn't help but notice you on your Facebook profile page, your backdrop is the Laughing Comedy Cafe, and I have been there quite a few times where the North Fort Myers demographic come out and they start drinking.
Yeah.
A lot of times they'll start stepping over the performer, and it's just like, shut the fuck up. It's so frustrating for us in the crowd that I don't know how you guys just don't go off the handle sometimes.
Yeah, it's well, there's different types of hecklers, so depending on the type of heckler, it is kind of how like comedians will handle them, because you've got the people that are just being assholes,
Yeah.
right? And those people, typically you just have to wait until the entire crowd is aware that that person's being an asshole, and then you can just gloves are off, you can say whatever and the audience is going to be on your side.
Yeah, because at that point everybody's like, okay, shut up, dude, you're running the show.
Right. But then the other kind of hecklers are the people that they think they're helping, you know?
Yep.
Or,
They're like, tell us
or
about the
they
skunk
just-
apes.
Right. And exactly that's a more helpful kind of heckler. So, you don't really want to go personal, or,
Sure.
or attack them because you don't want to turn the audience against you. So, yeah.
How long have you been doing the comedy game?
About 2 years. Yeah.
What got you into that?
So I mentioned at the end of that little clip, but I got diagnosed with autism, and at 31 years old.
Wow, that's a pretty late diagnosis.
Yeah. So, but during going through that process of getting diagnosed, because as an adult, there aren't a lot of places that can diagnose you. So there are a lot of hoops you have to jump through. And when I first started, realized something might be, going on with me, and I got referred to this program and that program and so on and so forth. But during all of these like different evaluations I was having to go through, one of the therapists that I talked to was like, oh, well, you have like, it seems like you have like a very large portion of your brain is like creativity focused.
Sure.
And so we got to talking about that, and they're like, well, it's like you probably need like an outlet for creativity. And at the time I was trying to like I wanted to make like a cartoon.
Yeah.
So I was like, I was trying to teach myself how to animate and how to draw and how to like write scripts and all of this stuff all at the same time.
That's a lot of a load to carry.
Yeah. And they're like, that's going to take forever. And all of that time you're going to be stuck without like a real outlet or a way to like get it out to people. So they're like, why don't you cut out the middleman and just try like taking your jokes on stage? And I, a couple weeks after that, I went to my first open mic, and I haven't stopped.
No. So what led you to pursue the path to get to have that diagnosis?
Yeah.
Was there just some shit that's like, what the fuck's wrong with me? And you go see a counselor or what?
Yeah. So it was, so my regular day job before all of this was, I was a graphic designer, and, at one point we were doing stuff with like a healthcare company. And so one of the other things I did was like creative writing kind of stuff. And so we were doing some like blog posts for them. So I was having to do research about autism. And I just realized it at one point, like I was reading through some of these things. I was like, whoa, that sounds familiar.
Mm-hmm.
Like to the point where I was getting uncomfortable,
Yeah.
Like sometimes when you hear like side effects for medications, you're like, I'm not even on that medication, but like, I'm going to talk to my doctor. Like,
yeah, like like the cats in that new schizophrenia commercial. It's all over the place.
Yes, exactly. But I'd seen mental health counselors before, and it was like, I was diagnosed with a severe anxiety disorder and major depressive disorder. At one point they thought I had ADD. And so then the more I started like digging into it, and then eventually I got referred to a specialist, and like it was a 2-hour observation appointment. And in the first 15 minutes they stopped me and they're like, yeah, so you're autistic. Like we're going to keep going, but just so you know, like you're definitely on the spectrum. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, thanks.
Yeah.
Like, just different, and like just learning like things about myself, and you're like, oh, that's not what normal people do.
Mm-hmm.
Like things like when you have to have like a conversation with someone, like if you run into somebody from high school in like the grocery store, right?
Yeah.
And you guys start catching up, like I would get caught in these conversations, and I build like word clouds in my head of like, oh, this is what I'm gonna say next, but sometimes I'm like building that in my head, so I'm not listening to what the other person's saying. So then I'm still having to play catch up. But it was like, wait, you mean you like full on like develop full sentences in your brain, like actively do that before you? And I was like, yeah, like I can't, otherwise I just can't say anything. And they're like, yeah, that's not a normal thing.
I don't do that in live conversation, but I do that if I'm preparing for like a confrontation. Like I know something's going to happen. I'll have that pathway so that I can I'll already have preloaded comebacks to any which way that conversation could go. And so I'm kind of like that if I'm getting ready to go to a meeting because I run my own IT firm, or if I'm, like I said, I'm expecting confrontation or something, I'll have those whole entire type of conversations in my head as well.
Right. So like that same thing, like you're driving home and you're going to like argue with your significant other. And on the way home, you're like, oh, I'm going to say this. And if they say this, I'm going to say, like, some people do that like when they're expecting something, but I do that in every conversation I've ever had.
So while you're having,
and then if they zig when you want them to zag, it's like dumping a bucket of monkey wrenches in your path. Right?
Oh yeah.
You're like writing your own choose your own adventure
Every
book.
Conversation is like original, like Donkey Kong.
Yeah.
Just like back and forth up the ladder.
Jump the barrels, keep on trucking.
Yeah.
After you got diagnosed, did you and your parents say, this makes a lot of sense to some of the stuff we dealt with growing up, going to school and all that stuff?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
The comedian, and he's like, yeah, see, told you fuckers.
Yeah. It was like literally, I'll my parents will bring up something from like when I was a kid, like the like old stories and stuff like that. And now when they do it, I'm like, and you didn't know I was autistic?
Yeah, right. Well, see, and the cool thing is now that you know, and the comedy thing is working out for you, well, with the exception of COVID and all that, you're 2 years into it. I'm sure you'll keep on trucking along. I grew up, I have a learning disability, and it's funny. My fiance is a school teacher, and this year she's supposed to be teaching the more moderate children, but she has one child that just got in her class that is on the lower end, and she's like, they really need to be in the class where they can handle that, give them the attention they need. But apparently with how crowded they are, she's like, well, so now like every day for like an hour and a half, the student's going to get up, leave the classroom, and go to another classroom to get that learning. And me being someone who went through all that before they have learning disability classes to where they are now, I'm like, yeah, because nothing makes you feel so great about your disability than getting up in the middle of a classroom, walking out, and all the kids like, where does he go every day for an hour and a half? Because I used to have to do that shit when I was a kid.
I gotta go to the dumb class. I'll be back.
But and it's what I'm getting to is you're doing this thing despite the fact that you've just recently been diagnosed with quote unquote a disability, and with autism, obviously, depending on where you're at with the spectrum, is how much more that disability affects you in your life. But it's got to make you prouder than shit to say, hey, despite this thing, I'm doing something that 99.5% of the people without any sort of issues are terrified to fucking do. And I can feel the same way as somebody who in high school was taken over to the Buckeyes Boys Ranch to do some medial training to figure out what sort of thing I can do for a living, because they didn't expect me to be able to run a business or do anything. They have, okay, can you screw this nut on this bolt and all this? I mean, they literally run you through all this stuff just to, because this is in the late 90s. This kid's never going to go to college. He can't swing a hammer. He's not smart enough. And so they would literally take us and have us do these menial tasks to try to figure out what we might be able to survive doing in our lives. But now that I'm 41, my father and I have been running a business for almost 15 years. I take great pride in the fact that I, was able to find success despite of what, the education system at that time, expected me to be able to do. And I got to think somebody who just late in life, I mean, it's one thing to be diagnosed early and have 25 years to, figure things out, to falling out late in life and not only get that, but say, okay, I got this, but hey, I know I'm going to go try to be a comedian and then go out and do it. That's fucking awesome.
And as somebody who's got anxiety problems myself, I give it to you. How hard was it to get up on the stage the first time?
It was pretty rough. Like, so luckily, like, a little while after I got diagnosed, I got my medical marijuana card.
There you go.
So I just got as high as like I could possibly get, like while remaining conscious, and just went up and did it. And luckily, like within the first 30 seconds or so, I got like a pretty decent laugh. And so that feeling from that I was like, oh, like this is what happy is supposed to feel like, And like nothing else gives you that feeling. So it wasn't so much that I like beat my anxiety as much as like I got addicted to that feeling. And so, yeah.
So like a workaround almost.
Kind of, yeah. Well, and like I realized like, because you like getting up on stage, like, especially at first, like it's all about like crafting material and like
having a process,
know what you're going to say before you go up there. So I had that, but then also like, unlike a normal conversation, like you said, like somebody can zig when I want them to zag. In like stand up, like it's not a conversation, like it's an interaction, but there's only like a certain number of responses that are like appropriate for them to have. Right. So it's like, okay, if I say this, I should get one of these reactions. And so it's that back and forth. And, there's not really a surprise in a reaction outside of like, hecklers, but then that's like a skill you learn. And like, even with that, like I have like heckler, like comments ready to go.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It sounds like you've got, basically just like categories, everything's set up. Okay. Oh, you're that kind of asshole. I'm going to pull from this bin here. And, here's how the responses are going. I've got, various responses kind of lined up. I'll just grab from one chamber and pull it out. And there you go. Roll on.
Well, and like, so I tend to laugh at myself a lot on stage, or people think I'm laughing at myself, but it's not that I'm laughing at myself so much as that like I'm just already ahead.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
and so I get to a point where like I know I'm like something good is about to happen. Like I know what's about to happen is about to get a laugh, and so I can't contain my laughter at knowing that I'm about to get laughter, and that's like yeah.
How is your
And it makes it even better when the laugh doesn't come. 'Cause
Sure.
then like I'm still laughing. So
yeah?
And then they just laugh with you, right?
yeah.
Or at you.
How has your process changed in the last 2 years when it comes to writing your material? Do you work it all out way in advance? I mean, obviously, like you said, it comes off a good, well-written act comes off like a conversation, but it's not a conversation. It's almost like a well-orchestrated voiceover work. You're doing it in a way where the person listening feels like you're talking directly to them. But once again, that's why you don't want hecklers, because your quote-unquote conversation is meant to go one way. But you've only been doing this for such a short amount of time. How did you work that process out? And looking back at when you first started, you're like, holy shit, I've come a long way, or is it still very similar?
No, I've definitely come a long way. Like I don't like I record pretty much every set I do. And like I'll go back and look at sets that like from when I first started, and they're just so first of all, I hate watching myself on video anyway. It's probably what took me so long to get around to TikTok.
Yeah.
But like I'll go back and watch like set videos, and I'll go back and watch some from when I first started, and they're just so, I just find them so cringy. And like if I were a comic now in the crowd listening to me go on stage when I first started, I'd be like, this guy blows, you know, like, ugh.
But see, that's a
like
good
whoever's following him is gonna have a rough time getting the crowd back.
Yep.
You know, like.
But see, that's a good thing that you find it cringeworthy, because if you don't, then that means you haven't progressed at all. I mean, if it's 2 years later and you're listening to those first jokes, like, damn, I hit it, then that means you're still in that same, you know, you haven't progressed. Because, I mean, you talk to anybody or listen to an interview with any comedian, it doesn't matter what level they're at or what their longevity is. They all said the same thing. Holy shit, man, I found some tapes I used to sell out of the trunk of my car when I first got started. That shit was awful. And so, I mean, that's the way it's the same way with bands and anything else. I mean, it's, you know, you talk to somebody who's doing a podcast, they're 30 year into it, and say, wow, I went back and listened to episode 1. That was a shit show. And so just like anything else, man, it's just all part of the process and all part of, you know, getting bigger and better.
Well, yeah. And like, so where I got started and when I got started just like worked out really like perfectly for me. Because, Keg of Laughs that runs the shows, like the shows here in town, they also have a workshop on Sundays, like a comedian workshop.
Sure.
And like in like some cities, like you can go take like a comedy class and it'll be like, you know, 8 weeks for like $250 or whatever. But this is a free class every Sunday. And it's like the same, like, you know, comedy Bible and all these kind of stuff but it's like learning about joke writing and learning how to like craft sets and all of this kind of stuff. So I basically have that every week. So I was able to like progress and like write really fast.
Well, not only that, but you have access to, not only that, but you have access to like-minded people. And so even after the class, I'm sure there's a handful of times you all go out and continue that on your own. And you know, from the cats who's been doing it for 2-3 years longer, you can learn a lot from somebody else if you're willing to shut the fuck up and listen.
Yeah, well, and the guy who runs Keg of Laughs and the workshop is his name is Bob Smith, and he was a working road comic for like 25 years.
Sure.
You know, so having somebody with that much experience teaching you, like, okay, here's like the, you know, how this works, and then here's how you can like shorten the process, and here's how you can get from here to here, you know, and it just it worked out for me. And like just like the formulas, like not formulas, but like just the formulaic way comedy works.
Mm-hmm.
And like if you put like, you take something that's like mildly funny and you're like, okay, I know if I move this to here and put this here, like this would be even fun. And just like figuring out how that works, like it's people, a lot of people with autism have like intense focuses, so it might be like trains or robotics or you know, computers or, you know, whatever it is. Like mine is comedy.
Yeah.
Like, I found it, you know. So
who would you say have been your biggest influences? Like maybe a Jimmy Norton or I'm forgetting people now. Just I was listening to your jokes. I'm like, this guy's blue. I can appreciate it, which has also got to be difficult in this day and age with the cancel culture.
Yeah. So for so many people, because I'm like a student of comedy, and so if I'm not like writing or rehearsing or practicing comedy, I'm probably watching it.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously the greats, like the Richard Pryor and Dave Chappelle and George Carlin's and those kinds of guys. But some of my like favorites, like personal favorites, are like, I love Kyle Kinane. I really love Roy Wood Jr. I really love he's all over like YouTube and stuff, but like Drew Lynch and Andrew Schultz. I love that guy.
His YouTube channel, he found a way to blow up. Obviously he started with his real short routines, but then when he kind of changed the format. He almost did like a comedian's version of Somebody Feed Phil, where instead of it's about food, he actually shows, he keeps his 3 to 4 minute format, but then he shows him and his crew going around the town that he's in and kind of giving you the behind the scenes of the road comic thing where they're out there eating, they're going to like silly little fucking tourist traps and all that. And his stuff, they're still 10 minutes long, but he's got that thing hammered down. He's so goddamn funny. And he does so much crowd work too. He's a huge crowd work comedian. I love his stuff.
He's somebody I started studying when I started like trying to get better at crowd work, for sure.
And he's somebody, speaking of cancel culture, he's somebody who's figured out a way to make fun of all races and genders in the crowd, but do it in a non-offensive way so that the people that he's making fun of, they're all laughing at it too. And I mean, he just doesn't give a shit when it comes to that. But there's a fine line of dancing, a way you have to do that nowadays.
Well, and part of like how he's able to do it is like his persona, like on on stage, doesn't make it seem like it, but he's highly fucking intelligent.
Yeah.
And like he's well read and well researched, and like when he starts like talking to people in the crowd, like he has a crowd work special on YouTube where he starts like talking to I believe like a Hindi woman.
Yeah.
And then starts going into like goes into like a whole like couple of minutes talking about like Desi culture and all of these different kinds of things. And you're like, wow, like he knows what he's talking about, and that's what allows him to make those jokes.
Yeah, you just went down the path I was going to shine my flashlight. I was going to say the same thing. He'll make fun of a culture, but then he'll talk 30 minutes going in depth. Not talking about the crap that we all know, he'll actually, like you said, he knows the history of the culture. He'll start going back, oh yeah, back in 1840. He knows the history behind it, and that just makes the people that he's busting balls on respect him more, because he knows about it, so that's why he can joke about it. And you're absolutely right. He puts a little cultural history into his comedy.
Right. Yeah. So like he uses like the tried and true, like I can be informative and that's how he creates that balance. And then you have other people like, I try and create like in jokes like that. I try to create the balance by either A, making fun of myself first, or B, like identifying like kind of how I got there.
Sure.
If that makes sense. And by trying to make it like I don't want to offend anybody. Like I want even the people that like could be offended to find it funny.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like I don't intend to like hurt anyone, and that's kind of the thing. And sometimes just like that genuine, like, oh, they don't want to be mean. They're just, and that kind of goes a long way too.
And I worked in construction is what I work in, actually, in the office now. But I remember when I first got in, it was just a bunch of guys during lunch sitting around browbeating the shit out of each other in a good way, making fun of everything. Nobody got upset. If anything, it toughened you up. And that seems like that's what's missing today. It's just a little ribbing, a little good-natured ribbing,
Well, and that's why like you don't hear like a whole lot about like falling out in the comedy scene. Like, because that's what comedians do. We sit around and we literally talk shit to each other and say the worst things like humanly possible to each other sometimes. Because we're chasing like the version of that we can use on stage, or we're trying to, I said this to them, and obviously I could never say that like on stage, but I could say this instead, and yeah, like the darkest shit you could possibly imagine. Like,
oh yeah. It's just a way to up your shit talking game, is to be around it and be involved with it constantly.
Dude, I've heard comedians say things that would have been considered war crimes. Like,
yes,
I would not doubt that. I think I've said a few things.
Speaking of having a thick skin, I mean, we live in fucking Florida, for God's sakes. I mean, up until COVID, we were the whipping boy of the United States. And speaking of which, you said you're 2 years into this. How lucky are you to be a Florida resident when it comes to this? Because we're open. I mean, we were closed for a few months. I mean, you listen to L.A. Comedy clubs, they tried to open up out in the parking lots. L.A. fucking slapped their dicks, told them to shut it down. Some of the guys are traveling, some of them aren't. And, I know a lot of guys are doing the digital show, and I'm sure that's great for a well-seasoned comedian. But for someone like you who's 2 years into it, you're just now finding your voice. You're getting used to, being on stage and doing it in front of a crowd. But going back to the whole voiceover analogy, doing a podcast like this where I'm talking to two other people, it's easy to do. We're having a conversation. I mean, it's not easy to do, but it's easier to do. I do a World War II based podcast where a lot of times I'm doing pre-written monologues where I'm in a room by myself, and to get that sound across where you still sound like you're having a conversation with somebody, that's a hell of a lot harder than sitting here looking at two cats on a Zoom meeting. And to do the digital stand-up act is the same thing. And now you're not, instead of feeling the crowd, feeling the lights, looking around, getting that energy, you're looking at a monitor and you may see 30 faces on a screen. But I have to imagine it's got to be a hell of a lot harder to do.
Yes and no. Like I said, I laugh at myself a lot.
Sure.
And it kind of works out great for Zoom comedy because I'm laughing at my own jokes. So that just helps kill that gap between the delay in hearing their laughter.
That makes sense.
So that works out a lot for me. But yeah, being here. So the beginning of COVID sucked super hard. Cause I had gotten booked up for my very first tour.
Yeah.
And I was doing I was doing a variety show tour with a bunch of musicians and music acts and stuff. And it was an 18 city tour. And we went to Tallahassee where the production company was, and they put us in a house. And we signed our contracts on a Sunday, and then Monday, everything went into lockdown. So we stayed there for a month, a month and a half, 2 months, just rehearsing.
Yeah.
And then we did a virtual show, and that was it. But because I had kind of somehow my momentum carried over, and when things unpaused and we first opened back up, I got booked for a bunch of private gigs and
nice
and stuff like that, and then I got to go and do some bigger rooms, and then like I said, I had kind of gotten used to the virtual thing, and then I submitted to I had submitted back in May. I had submitted to this comedy festival that was in October, and then it got canceled. But then they decided to do it virtually. So I submitted for this the Portland Comedy Festival, and I won the Portland Comedy Festival. So
congratulations on that. I mean,
yeah.
Now, were you able to slam some Antifa guys in the process?
No, there was no Antifa slamming.
Well, it's just that's saying something to be 2 years into this and to win a fucking comedy show. Congratulations on that.
Thanks. Yeah. So yeah, now I'm just working on getting booked as things are opening back up, and getting into some more places and start getting around more often. So,
well, AJ, thank you for hanging out with us tonight. AJ Wilkerson. Hey, let everybody know where they can find you on TikTok, Instagram. If you have A lot of people are getting off of Facebook and Facebook's so hard for someone like you and myself. If you have a quote unquote public persona page, it's so hard to get views without paying fucking Facebook the advertising revenue.
Yeah.
I got 5,000 fans. I'll post a video and they'll share it with 10 of them. It's so deflating. It's so annoying that a lot more people are going to TikTok because of that. But where can people find you on the social media realm?
Yeah, so on Facebook, just AJ Wilkerson Comedy. Instagram is AJ Wilkerson Comedy. On TikTok, I'm Captain_Autism, and on Instagram, or I'm sorry, on Twitter, I'm Captain Autism with the underscore at the end. So yeah.
Well, good luck with everything, man. And hey, once you get back on the road and your schedule picks up, if you want to come back on the show to promote anything, just let us know, and we'll be happy to have you back on. And I appreciate your time.
Thanks a lot, you guys. This is fun.
Thanks, man. And
AJ, great talking to you.
Yep. Take care.
You too.
Take it easy.
Bye, guys.
AJ Wilkerson, man. Thanks for so much. Have a good one. And we're back. It'll be interesting. Oh, nope. We had a hypothesis. The countdown is still in place. As you guys know, when we have a third party on the show and we go to the triple screen, the fine people over at Zoom hit us with that 40-minute meeting mark. And I told Gordon, I was like, hey, when we get close to that point, I wonder if when the third party drops out, if they'll get rid of the timeline. And no, the timeline is still there. So as we are going to do, and as we tend to do, whenever we have a third party on here, we got to split the show up into two. But before we do, this episode of the What's in Your Head podcast is brought to you by our friends at Computers. Computers has been providing IT solutions for all of Southwest Florida since 2004, and they can help you with your computer repair, your laptop repair, server work, network expansion, anything technical related to form authentication, online backups, antivirus protection. Give them a call at 239-283-1120 or head over to act-capecoral.com. Or, hit them up on their Facebook and Twitter. And even if you live out of the state, give them a call at 239-283-1120. Because as long as you have working internet, they can help log into your computer, help you with your issues, email setup, printer problems, virus problems. Give them a call, 239-283-1120. And we're going to be right back in just a few minutes. So hold tight. Tell you what, if you guys love the show and you like us having guests on, but you're annoyed by the fact that we have to split the show up in two, the best way to help resolve that issue is head over to what'sinyourhead.com or d-410.com. Click on that Patreon link and sign up. It's $1 a month, and they take $1 a month out of your bank account. You can help support the show, support the YouTube channel, and all that, and we'll get us some highfalutin premium grade Zoom. So when we have people on like that and guests on, we don't have to split the show up in two. But
I would settle for medium fluting at this point.
Yeah, medium fluting would work great as well. So hold tight. We will be right back. Thank you guys so much. There I am, and we are back with part 2 of the Monday Night Show, the What's in Your Head podcast. The big show, when you have guests, you got to split the show up in two, but hey, we're here. If you guys are listening to this on the downloads, which, by the way, thank you guys for the download. The download numbers are up. If you're listening to this on the download, you don't know that we ever went away, but if you're watching us on YouTube, Periscope, or whatever, I guess that gives you a nice little delay. You can come back and watch the second half after you go get a beverage or something. But we're back. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And thanks again to AJ Wilkerson. Very, very funny guy. Go check him out on TikTok at Captain_Autism on TikTok. So how is everything going in your world, Gordon?
It's going okay, but I'm discovering some things, and it's funny. Actually, after talking to him, one of the things I've been struggling with lately is when people talk and they're asking me, and it's happened between us, it's like, I really don't know what you're talking about. And it takes me a minute to figure it out. I'm like, okay, am I missing context now? What the hell's going on? But I'm just getting old. But one thing I've discovered is, so I got a weird bump.
Is it kind of like when you're driving home and you make it halfway home and you don't remember driving that distance?
Yeah, not really that. It's just like, what the fuck? I'm not in your head. I don't know what you're talking about. But one thing I've discovered, so I got this weird bump that's kind of rising on my nose.
Before we get into that, I think we found a glitch in the Matrix, Gordon. We did that reset so quick that Facebook thought it was buffering, and we're still continuing on the original video.
I saw that. It said video will be paused.
That's awesome.
And we'll be back. So that is awesome.
John Kraft, welcome back, John Kraft. He said he generally enjoyed the shit out of that interview, and we did too. We're going to try to get more of those on there.
Absolutely.
We really need a producer and a show booker because there's just so much I can get done. Welcome back, John. It's been a while. I don't know where Morgan Long's hiding out, but go ahead. You got a bump in your nose.
So I went and I've had 2 different dermatologists tell me it's rosacea. I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense. I don't really turn red. Then I thought about it. It's like I've always been kind of red every time I came in from the cold weather.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the triggers of rosacea is alcohol. Well, I just finished a finger of bourbon.
Must have been some good shit.
Yeah, it is. It's
you pussy. You don't do 2 fingers?
I work tomorrow, but I've already noticed like my face is getting red.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the triggers. And I'm like, son of a bitch.
It's funny looking back. I remember you turning red, but I just always assumed because you were, you had a lot more freckles than I did, and you always kind of have more of a fair skin, but that makes more sense.
So does this mean I'm going to get whiskey nose? I hope not. I mean, I don't even drink that
No,
much.
that's called a gin blossom, and that's when you're a full-blown alcoholic.
Yeah, well, I may have a gin bud right here. But so I got medicine that I put on it now, and that's fun, and that's expensive. That's great. But
I think the last time we talked,
otherwise, everything is going okay. Obviously, we're all bated breath with what's going on
on the
national level, and I'm not even going to go there. But we went from 90 degrees to 45 and 50.
We haven't gotten that cold. We've had some cool weather, and I have a story about that. But I want to finish a thought I had about your skin issue and all that. Last time we talked, you're down 10 pounds. I think you're down 15 now, correct?
Yep, down 15. It's not that noticeable yet because I'm a big guy, but
once you start buying new wardrobe, it'll be more noticeable. My question though is, when you changed your diet, have you noticed a difference in your skin quality? Not to sound like a bunch of ladies cackling.
For the most part, yeah, no, because it's so goddamn dry out here. So I'm still battling dry skin.
Well, I used to get real dry red skin right here, and then when I got off the soda and the monster and all that, and I went all drinking water for the longest time, that all cleared up. And then now that my diet's back and forth, it's still semi-clear, but it gets a little. When I start drinking more shit, my diet gets worse. I actually do see a change in my skin condition right there. But like right now, for like last week, I've basically been drinking Gatorade Zero and water, and so my skin's actually pretty good right now. But a lot of times, if I'm drinking a lot of beer, soda, and all that, I will see a difference in the skin.
Now, as we know, we had Vinny on, and thanks again, Vinny Torridge, for coming on and guiding me through and get me started on this no sugar, no grains. Am I at 100% compliance? Is my wife and I at 100% compliance? No. But we're at 85 to 90%. And when I say that, no, we haven't eaten any bread, haven't drinking any soda, haven't had any rice, potatoes, any high carb bomb stuff, but sometimes there's just a little sugar in there that I'm still having a hard time finding without paying a lot of money or using a lot of time. Everything that gets, all those words that slide in, that's technically sugar. But that being said, it's a progress. I think we will get more and more compliant as we go. But
that's such a hardcore diet. I mean, with my every plate, I think 3 meals I eat a week were bacon, carrots, and there's so much natural sugar. Now you think, oh, baked carrots, that's healthy, but according to that diet, no, it's not. I might as well just be carrots. Down in a box of nerds. But anyhow,
well, you can have carrots according to that weight lifestyle of eating once you get to your weight goal.
Sure.
And I know we're not supposed to have any cheat meals until we kind of get to our weight goal. I've been doing it for a while, but we've slipped. I've had, a sandwich once, and I did not miss it at all. I'm like, this, we've discussed this, but So no, everything is going good. My cheat day this week was wings, which had mango habanero on it. That was on Friday, and I'm sure it was fried in a bunch of vegetable oil.
Yeah.
But that was it. So a cheat day once a week or once every 2 weeks is fine. I said we're not allowed having more cheat days until Thanksgiving, and then we still got to be light.
So as you mentioned, the weather is getting better all over the place.
Yeah. It rained for the first time in 200 days out here on my side of the valley. And I tell you what, there is some unexpected shit that happens
Like
when it
flooding?
rains for the first time. No. So we're driving along, and one of the things you expect is the road to get slick. But, you know,
Can
we're
I
in our
guess?
fancy.
Can I guess?
Oh,
Can I
yeah.
guess? Because I lived in
I guess.
California.
Yeah, well,
When
it's a little different.
When
though.
it sprinkles just a little bit and everybody starts wrecking, and their excuse is, well,
Mhm.
you see, it never rains, so the oil that drips off all the cars gets on that there concrete, and it soaks into the concrete. And when you get the slightest bit of rain, the roads get slippery.
Well, I will tell you about that shit. That
Perhaps
builds
in
up in the
1983,
concrete.
when everybody's cars were dripping oil, but how many people are driving around beaters that drip oil all over the goddamn roads nowadays?
I think it comes from the tires. And the reason I say that is when we pulled into our neighborhood, I noticed foam in the middle of the road. And I'm like, what the fuck? It's like somebody dumped a bucket of soapy water. And I'm turning, I look to the left and down along the gutter, along the curb, there's water running and it's a dark green brown.
Ugh.
Ugh.
Antifreeze?
And then I look behind me and there's foam being generated from my tires.
Yep.
We back into the garage and I've got a nice big black tire marks going up into the garage. We get out because we've been walking around in the rain in parking lots, and our shoes are leaving black prints everywhere.
That's weird.
So
There's
that
clearly
tells you
something to
how
it.
much shit clearly ends up on the road, especially when you haven't had measurable rain in that long. And it was just it was weird. And I was just wondering, you know, is the homeless people getting flushed out of the
No,
out of
never.
the drainage ditches yet? Because that's usually what happens. There's usually at least one rescue, but our rain wasn't that heavy. Actually, that day, our side of town got a good measurable rain, but McCarran still had nothing.
Here's a fun game to play when it rains. Drive down your neighborhood, down the street, and just cast your eyes on people's driveways. And the ones where you see the 4 light marks in the driveway, those are the people who wash their cars because those light marks are the runoff from the tire cleaner. And so when the whole driveway gets wet, there'll be 4 clean spots that just keeps running off from the tire shine and all that stuff. Because Dave pointed that out to me one time when he came over and said, "Oh, you must have put stuff on your tires," and he's right.
Usually when I put stuff on my tires, I can actually still see the residue on the dry ground anyway, and it doesn't go away forever. You know, it's there.
Well, I hope this
But
isn't too loud.
yeah,
but
that was one of the things I thought was nuts. And then didn't know what to think about it. But it looks like how's the weather? Is everything holding up over there?
So last Tuesday or Wednesday, it was the day after our last podcast. As I said, no, it was Tuesday, the election day. The cold front came in, and we cracked open all our windows and all our doors, and everything's great. And the next day, we're following suit and watching the election results, waiting to see what's happening. And we have 2 sliders. Basically, my living room door is here. My bedroom kind of does this because my lanai comes into like a rectangle. And so I have a slider on this wall at the bottom and a slider here. And then
Like
a
an
window.
L.
Yeah, and so the dog can run circles if they want to, or people could, but instead they prefer to walk in front of my TV when I'm playing Call of Duty, but that's neither here nor there. So we're sitting in bed watching the election
You just
results,
got me killed.
or lack thereof, and we hear this low coming from outside. I'm like, what the hell? And Bailey pokes her head up, and so we put her on the floor, and she scampers outside. And it's all dark in her room except for light casting from the 55-inch TV. And Bailey has a series of toys that she has deemed outdoor worthy. And it's so cute sometimes when the doors are normally shut because it's so damn hot. You'll open the door and she'll stop. Her toy box is right by the main slider in the living room. And she'll stop and grab a toy out of the toy box and bolt outside with it. And so now what started out as 2 outdoor toys, she has like 8 of them out there. And she came in with what I thought to be an outdoor toy. And I'm looking at it. I'm like, what toy is that? And I'm like, oh no, oh no, oh no. And Carrie's like, what? I'm like, oh no. And I grab my phone, turn on a flashlight, and it's a goddamn palm rat.
Ah, your turn, motherfucker.
Gordon's been talking about how he had to buy a new grill because he had palm rats living in his grill. I don't know if Bailey killed it or if the low growl we heard was the cat killed it, because the cat that was outside, we believe, was a little girl who was once a feral cat many moons ago, about 7 years ago. But Bailey just carried it in like it was just a toy and dropped it. And if you guys seen my TikTok, or I even think I even shared it to my Instagram page, this isn't just, a lot of people say rat and it's a mouse. With the tail included, this thing was probably down to here. I mean, this was a big, this
fucking
thing,
rat.
This was a fucking rat. And luckily she dropped it right on my pajama bottoms that I had laying on the floor. So I just took the material, folded it over, grabbed it by the tail, kind of waited for it to spring back to life. Didn't know if perhaps it was playing possum, but it didn't. And I quickly threw it in the trash can and then threw my my pajama bottoms into the wash machine because I didn't know what sort of funk that damn thing had on it. But she was just so proud of herself. She just came toppling in, and dropped this huge big-ass rat. And now, as gross as that is, I'd rather she drag a dead rat in than that thing getting up onto my roof and into my soffit and into my attic. But yeah,
Well, hopefully you don't have any up there, because a lot of times you don't even know.
Well, when we first moved in here a few years ago, the power lines, because here in Florida we don't bury our power lines, the power line runs perpendicular right above my privacy fence.
Why wouldn't you in a stormiest state in the union?
I don't know. Some people say because of the floods and power, but you put it in conduit and it's all waterproof anyhow. But that's neither here nor there. Every once in a while you would see the silhouette of a rat running down the power lines. But, yep, they got one. I don't know where. Now, I have a sneaking suspicion because the neighbor to the right of me, they're not technically palm trees or like the palm bushes that a lot of people buy down here because they kind of grow out in a fan and they create privacy. And they're about they're about 15 foot tall because the fronds lean up over my fence, which makes it fun for me to mow the grass whenever they fall off. Tucker the beagle used to pick them up and run around the yard, and now Bailey has discovered that fun time. But yeah, the cool weather has brought in dead rats into rat singular, into my house. So that was fun.
Well, it's interesting. So the Paris Hotel and Casino lost power back on like October the 22nd. And what it was actually was caused by rats.
Really?
Getting into the utility transformer and shorting it out. Boom. It's so bad that the emergency power didn't come on.
Wow, that's pretty bad when the backup generator didn't kick on appropriately.
Yeah, but that rat was good as toast.
Yeah, you were asking about the weather. Today was the storm that never was, not that we wanted it. They have this tropical storm called Eta. I call it ETA because that's all we worry about is when damn thing's going to arrive down here. But this thing is like on crack, right? So it came up Florida Keys, Cuba, and it kind of started to circle towards us and then hung a hard left out in the Gulf. And I haven't checked the weather today, but they're anticipating that this thing's going to go out there and get more energy and then possibly later this week hook back and land up around Tampa area, Bradenton area. Hopefully not. But we were supposed to get bands that were strong enough this morning that they canceled school because they didn't want, because of school choice, our elementary school starts here effing early. Early it's enough where there's kids at bus stops around 5:36, depending on how far they got to go. And so they didn't want kids standing out in the dark and, potentially 25 to 30 mile an hour winds along with rain. And so they went ahead and canceled school yesterday. And so I kind of stayed up late last night playing Call of Duty with the kid and Carrie. And I went to bed around 2 and kind of anticipating, well, I probably won't be able to go to work late anyhow because it's going to be windy and rainy and I won't be able to drive. I got up. Just a rain event, like son of a bitch. Now I gotta go to work. So I crawled out of bed and it was raining a little outside, but it was by no means dangerous to drive or anything. And so whether or not, hopefully this thing doesn't come back. Interestingly enough, with all the storms that they've had this year, this is the first named tropical storm that's actually made landfall in the state of Florida this year. Or they're anticipating it will be. Because I guess technically it hasn't made landfall. We just had the ban so far.
And hopefully it doesn't, because God knows the Gulf Coast in general is just a wreck, especially north of you.
Well, they always say, you're fucked whenever Jim Candori comes to town, and he's on Marco Island, which is about 50 minutes from here. So they're definitely expecting this thing to come this way, or were. So yeah, he was down here on Marco, and his other little whipping boys over in Jacksonville. Or
So they basically expecting this thing to swing a Huey at some point in time?
yeah, it's literally it kind of went underneath Florida, came up, and then it's dog-legging left out into the Gulf, and they're anticipating it's going to pick up steam out there because there's no obstruction, and there's a lot of cold wind and all the elements required for hurricane construction, and then it's supposed to fling back up towards Tampa and our way. So it'll be interesting to see how that pans out.
Absolutely. So I want to shift gears a little. I know a lot of people are going to a platform called Parler. I went there. I followed actually a podcast over there last month, but I downloaded the app this time, and I went to log in, and I was having a hell of a time.
Mm-hmm.
It said, everything for, hey, what about your number, your phone number? And I enter my phone number. So then I enter the CAPTCHA, and it says we cannot find this phone number or this email. And it just, I got sick of it. And then I said, you know what, I'm just going to try to bring it up on Google Chrome.
Well, the annoying thing is when you do the CAPTCHA, the annoying thing with the CAPTCHA, what's that? You went to Google Chrome because it had the saved password and logged you right in?
It logged me right in.
Well, the annoying thing with their CAPTCHA is when you type it in, it just refreshes with a new CAPTCHA. But real small underneath it, it says we cannot find an email address. But if you don't read that real small font, you're like, you keep typing in the goddamn CAPTCHA. Because interestingly enough, when it's so funny, everybody's making this leap, and I made
You think that's bringing it down? You think that may be the problem?
No, it wasn't until I got on a PC and not on my phone. Because when you're on the phone, the keyboard's up and it covers up that the part where it says real small. We don't see an email address registered to that account. When that keyboard's up and you hit enter, just the CAPTCHA refreshes, and you're like, "What the fuck?" And you keep retyping in, thinking you typed it in wrong, and it's an endless loop.
Let's talk CAPTCHA real quick. Mm-hmm. Now, you'll see a series of lowercase and uppercase letters.
It is case sensitive.
It is case sensitive. Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
And it's kind of pointless because if you're on Google Chrome, like the picture version, back in the day, well, choose the dandelions. If you come across that one, Google Chrome just does it for you, so you don't have to do it. It's kind of pointless. But anyhow, I had the same problem a while back, 5 months ago to be accurate. I signed up for it. Turns out I signed up for it back in, because I'm late to the party, I signed up for it on June 14th of 2019.
Yeah, you're early to the party.
And the app updated, and it asked for my password, and I couldn't figure out the password, and I couldn't figure out the username, the email address is registered to. And I was like, well, no one's on this app anyhow, so big whoop, I'll sign up. Turns out I had 50 followers, so I signed up again 5 months ago under DTrain410 instead of Donovan410, which is most of my stuff. And now that everybody's transferring over, I want my 50 followers I had and I want to be a cool guy with the old time date stamp. But I figured it out when I went to my Google Chrome, like you said, and it said my DTrain410, then it said the Donovan410, but it said gotmail.com. I must have typoed it because I signed up with my Hotmail account.
Is that like the green dot card?
Exactly. But my question is, usually when you sign up for a service, you have to go to your email to click the verify that the account exists. And as far as I know, there's no Gotmail service, is there? Gotmail.com.
Test that Viper.
No, so there is no Gotmail. So how this thing, before continuing to Gotmail, I'm not even going to try. So I don't know how it ever registered an account for me at Donovan410 at Gotmail.com. But luckily I figured that out, and I was able to get in. So now I have two Parler accounts. One of them's under at Donovan410, and the other one's DTrain410. Obviously I'm going to use the Donovan410 more than the DTrain one, but yeah.
Well,
and by the way,
out.
For those who haven't made the switch, it's nothing like Facebook. It's Twitter, basically. It's Twitter.
It's a work in progress.
And it needs that. It takes forever to upload photos. I don't like the whole vote and echo thing, and echo without an echo. The whole thing's weird. But I kind of jump onto these new platforms not to be the first to do it, but kind of like when I signed up for YouTube, which is the Utah Gun Exchange. It's their version of YouTube from when YouTube started demonetizing videos with firearms in them. I sign up for that stuff because I think it's a lot easier to get followers when there's not a million people to compete with. And so I try to get on new platforms when it's early so that you can get a lot of followers out the gate, especially if it's a personal page, that's not a big deal. But if you're trying to promote something like a podcast or a public persona page, you know, it's easier to get a lot more followers when you're not competing with 30 million other people, when there's, you know, a couple 100,000. So that's part of the reason why I signed up back in 2019. It had nothing to do with politics. And like I posted today, hey, just because we're here doesn't mean we want to be getting an ass load of your politics here either. We just want, you know, less censorship.
I'm reading an article that was created by a bunch of Trumpsters because of that. Now, one thing I found interesting is you could change your name and your handle easily. So I ended up going through a couple of variations, and then I settled at Gordon at Analog 410.
There you go.
Just because that's where I'm uploading my videos, which I got a bunch of days off coming up, so I'll be uploading a bunch, I think. And that's what I did. So yeah, it's a little weird. I think it's going to take some time to hopefully, as more people migrate over.
If they migrate. Once again, it's not a Facebook substitute. So, you know, if you're looking for a platform to give you the feeling of Facebook, keep your Facebook account. If you want to cancel your Twitter account, it's basically the timeline, the formatting. It's basically like Twitter. It's not going to give you the birthday reminders and the events and the groups and all that like a Facebook does. And that's one of the things I've been seeing a lot of my reenacting buddies like, hey, I'm just staying on Facebook just for the, you know, the events and the calendar stuff, and so we can set up these, you know, these World War II reenactments or whatever your preferred hobby is, and they're just minimizing their personal posts. But yeah,
and yesterday on my personal page, I said I'm going to use Facebook, what it's the best used for, and I posted a picture of my food.
Yep. Well, that's more Instagram, but yeah.
Well, you know, it's just to tone down the BS.
And it's so hard to switch because now it's just one more thing you got to do, unless you delete one in the past. I hate to delete my Twitter feed just because I got like, you know, 1,500 followers, but none of them really follow me anymore because I took like 2 years where I didn't post anything. And so now my posts don't show up anyhow. So I'll post something, like 5 people will see it because once it's much like Facebook. So I could probably get away with deleting it, but I just haven't done so yet.
Yeah. I'll hang on because obviously our family's spread across the nation.
I want to give you guys an update because I like to come back and admit when I was wrong or misspoke, if you will. We did this whole great segment talking about how TV shows and movie production spend a lot of money filming a scene and they cut the shit out of it and never seen. Turns out in this case of The Right Stuff, I was wrong when I was skimming through the episode. I fast forwarded through the whole damn thing. But yeah, if you go about, I think it's like 14 minutes into episode 1, Sierra Hotel, when Sam Shepard goes to the naval officer place. Not Sam Shepard, that was the name of the actor who played in the original Right Stuff. Alan Shepard. When Alan Shepard goes to the officers club to demand more flight time, that is the scene that I shot in Orlando at the golf course as the naval officer. And I do have quite a bit of screen time in that opposed to the minimum amount in episode 4. So I was wrong. They did not cut out all that scene, and it wasn't a waste of 8-hour recording. It was just I fast forwarded through it. So I do know I've talked to a few people who've seen the show. I haven't watched all the episodes yet. And I know one of them who's really heavily into it and loves the show. So if you guys have Disney Plus, check that out. And let me know what you think of it. I think it's a pretty good show so far.
Yeah, I got to get onto some Disney Plus. You
ready to get going with the news and shit?
I am ready to get it going on with that news and shit.
News and shit. News and shit. Now here's Gordon with some news and shit.
Joining us now from the Digital 410 West News Desk in Las Vegas, Nevada, Gordon Abernathy.
Hey, Gordon, how you doing tonight?
Better than this
happy
Idaho
if I
man.
play the clutch again?
Nah, that's fine. We don't want it to mute it on the other side of the stream.
I try to keep it under 30 seconds.
Well, I am doing better than this Idaho man.
Hey ho, I'm from Idaho.
Idaho man was banned from Yellowstone National Park. Why was he banned from Yellowstone National Park?
What must one do to be banned from Yellowstone National Park?
There's a lot, and there's actually a book called That's the Yellowstone. This guy was attempting to cook chickens in a hot spring.
How and why? Because first and foremost,
a lot of alcohol was involved.
I was gonna say, first and foremost, I assume a hot spring smells like unfucking purified well water and just rotten eggs, and I'm sure that's gonna make the chicken taste like shit.
And some of the springs run 200-300 degrees. They got so much chemicals in some of them that it'll take the skin right off of you. This man was reportedly found back in August with the cooking pots and 2 whole chickens, not 2 half chickens, not 2 quarter chickens, but 2 whole chickens. And has been issued a 2-year ban from Yellowstone National Park for attempting to roast said chickens
That's
in a hot spring.
If I want to cook chickens over natural hot water, I ought to be able to. You can't kick me out of here. My tax revenue keeps this place open.
So after being alerted to hikers in an off-limit thermal area of the park carrying cooking pots on Friday, August the 7th.
Were they like the blue camping style ones with the porcelain?
I would not doubt it, but I hope you at least go for a cast iron or a Dutch oven.
This doesn't sound like the move of a cast iron user or a Dutch oven aficionado.
Sounds like a move of one of them real lightweight aluminum ones.
Yeah.
So park ranger found 2 whole chickens hot spring inside a burlap sack.
Dead or alive?
Well, they're dead, according to the East Idaho News. So these should be identified at this point. The unidentified man from Idaho was cited along with 2 others. So this was a group effort, and a group for walking in a thermal area, according to the news source. In Mammoth Hot Springs, and I've actually been through Yellowstone quite a bit. The man pled guilty to the citation. He is also charged for violating closures and use limits and was forced to pay. What do you think? What do you think? How much would he be cited? How much money would he have to-
$2,500.
$600 per charge.
Getting off light for federal property.
For 2 years. So that's $600 per charge plus 2 years of unsupervised probation and 2 years banned from the park.
Guy sounds like a pussy to me. Anybody with a fucking nut sack on them would chickens. Anybody can do chickens. You want to impress me, son? Cornish game hens. That's where it's at. Smaller, you gotta get closer. Higher risk, higher reward, you pussy.
Speaking of pussy, Marty, a black Maine Coon cat, used to patrol the highest peak in the Northeast United States for a dozen years. That would be 12 for those playing along. At its weather observatory.
That a baker's dozen would be 13, you son of a bitch.
Has passed away.
Well, of course. After how many years? 13 years? That's a long run for being a feral cat.
12 years. No, he wasn't a feral cat. He was actually a cat they put up there. So,
what kind of asshole leaves a cat on top of a mountain?
Summit operations manager.
That's a cat that knocked one too many glasses off the goddamn counter is what that was.
Yeah. Sholin said, and this is according to Rebecca Sholin, as a past observer who lived on the summit for 4 years. So basically it's a partner with whoever's up there patrolling. I can tell you that Marty was a special companion, an entertainer, and incredibly loved by all observers and state park staff, and will be sadly missed. So the Mount Washington Observatory staff has had a cat at the 6,288-foot summit, which is called the home of the world's worst weather since 1932.
Now you guys even larger assholes drag a cat up to the location that has the world's worst weather. Surprised the damn thing didn't get eaten by a coyote.
You ain't going to get a partner with you up there, so you might as well have a cat. Keep the rodents at bay when they try to come in.
I guess.
The observatory had recently shared the news that Marty would retire from the mountain in early 2021. However, he did not make it. He was a shelter cat, and he won 50% of the Mount Washington mascot primary in June 2008. The same time that Democrat Hillary Clinton and Republican John McCain won their respective races in New Hampshire. So they vote. People vote on this cats. Who's going to be up there? Who's getting kicked off the island?
You know, there was a crazy TikTok video where this lady, she lives she lives in Colorado or somewhere, and her backyard, it basically empties into an open field that slowly goes up into the plains and the mountains and stuff, and the plains and mountains, 2 different things. And they had a pack of...
Yeah, completely.
They have a pack of wild coyotes. No, I think they're wolves. See, a pack of wolves are coyotes, and they're running around. And they notice this French bulldog is running with them. Not only is the French bulldog running with them, he's like the alpha male of this pack of wolves. And they reported
Does he bark in a French accent?
They reported it, and they put a Havahart trap out there. They're trying to catch this French bulldog, and she has it on film. The wolves won't let the French bulldog get anywhere near the have a heart trap. They like send up a scout to go out and sniff it out and check it out. And they said they've been watching this thing. They've been trying to capture this French bulldog for like 2 weeks, and this thing's like running. This
It's
pack
part of the
wild
pack.
boars.
I mean,
It's
it ain't going to
insane.
happen.
Yep.
No, sir. Don't like it.
No, sir. Don't like it.
So there are some people that are just not right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some of the duller crayons in the box.
Mm-hmm.
There's one individual in Wisconsin who decided to transport a snowmobile by strapping it to the roof of his Toyota Corolla. Now, if one was to strap a snowmobile to the roof of the car, number one, that'd be stupid. Number two, which direction would you think they'd strap it?
Well, first off, direction. Hey, how do you get it up there? What's the average weight of a snowmobile? 2,000 pounds?
It's up there.
And for the casual shade tree mechanic at home, what is the weight rating on the A-pillars of a car? Are they meant to hold a 2,000 pound goddamn snowmobile on the roof?
You think it'd affect the crumple zones?
And to
They would
answer your
crumple.
question, it would be nose towards the trunk because you'd have to drive it up the hood.
How about nose to the passenger side?
What?
Think of a dog bringing a branch into a house and
Yeah.
it's long wise. Yeah.
So what they do? Drive it up next to a hill, and then drive
It's hard
it on.
to say, but I did send you a picture in your Gmail account
I'll have to check
of
it
this,
out.
just so you can understand and fully understand the majesty of idiocracy.
That's
for idiocy.
insane.
So the trooper pulled over.
Oh, that's something special right there. Yeah, they drove up next to like a hillside or down in a raincoat ditch, and then drove
Yeah.
that thing on. That's a special.
That's a special individual there, isn't it?
No, you're wrong. The nose is towards the driver's side, and they had to get in on the passenger side because the skis are actually sitting over the driver's side door,
Okay.
and so they
I've
had
got it backwards.
they had to
but
like.
it's still the wrong.
That's insane.
Imagine loading it into your truck that way. Anyway, the trooper pulled over the driver on Highway 63 in northern Wisconsin on Sunday afternoon after seeing a snowmobile perched sideways on the top of his sedan.
You know why I pulled you over, son?
No, sir.
No idea. I was doing
Not
the
at
speed
all.
limit, sir.
Am I speeding?
My brake light out? Well,
My
apparently
brake
you got a piece of heavy equipment on your roof.
Who done put that there?
That's hanging left to center. And I mean, in places like that, don't they have like those small, like old school tunnel bridges with like they're down the one lane?
I don't know Wisconsin well enough, but yeah. So basically, the Wisconsin Department of Transportation tweeted out the photo of the car with the Polaris, which is probably worth more than the car.
Now, clearly.
Topper on the mount of the, with the message, folks, don't try this at home. So the driver, guess his age. What age range would you try something like this?
Yes, but someone who's that young to try something that dumb that you're thinking can't afford that. So I'm going to say 38.
23-year-old driver was issued a warning.
23-year-old driver with good
hauling
credit.
Techniques and cited for failing to buckle up, according to the DOT spokeswoman. I'm sorry. The driver, one Mr. Matthew Schmidt, which I'm sure he goes by the name Schmidt, he did it again, of Clayton, told the trooper that he just bought the snowmobile and was driving it over to the friend's house to show him.
So you went on Facebook
ride.
Marketplace and you bought yourself a 1998 2002 Polaris snowmobile. You live in Wisconsin. I'm sure 2 of your family members are farmers. No one has a truck.
Oh, wait till you hear this guy's response about the whole thing. He goes, I know it looks sketchy, but we strapped it down and shook it up and down like this
Hey,
kind of region. Stuff like this is seen all the time, but it's more like the back roads.
to give him credit, I have seen an F-250 truck pulled out of a ditch with a fucking ratchet strap. Those things are pretty durable.
I was in a vehicle that we were stuck. I was pulling a trailer out, and somebody got up and helped us, and I didn't have a strap on us. Either of us did.
You didn't have a strap
the
on?
person pulling me was also an employee, and I'm sorry, we did have straps, but one of the general contractors guys, foreman, came up and he just threw a strap on real quick. Yes, inner joke there.
Mm-hmm.
And it was something that I didn't realize until it was too late. But as he went to pull me, the strap broke. And we were always told not to use one with a hook. The hook went sailing through the back window of the truck in front of me.
I seen a picture on Instagram. It was a meme, but someone had a ratchet strap on the wheel well of their truck. No, on the bed.
I saw it.
And it like cut it. At least that's what, unless they photoshopped it. It looks like it cut it, but it almost looked a little fake because the way it was cut. But yeah, that's pretty crazy too.
Got one more.
Okay. I got one too.
This is a little before your time in your interest of World War II, but it is World War I. Carrier pigeon's secret World War message was uncovered a century later in a French field. An elderly French couple was taking a walk through a field in September when they spotted a peculiar object. It turned out to be a tiny capsule with a spectacular message inside, a 100-year-old handwritten note from a World War I soldier, according to The Guardian. The note was written in German by a Prussian soldier based in, I'm going to mess this up, Ingersheim. The region now part of France's Grand Est, but was still part of Germany. The note had been sent by a carrier pigeon to the soldier's superior officer. And what did this message say?
Send more backup. The Yanks are coming.
It said,
Und Scheiße.
It said, Platoon Pothoff receives fire as they reach the western border of the parade ground. Platoon Pothoff takes up fire and retreats after a while. In Frechwov, half of the platoon was disabled. Platoon Pothoff retreats with heavy losses. So basically reporting that they got their asses handed to them, and clearly it did not make it back to the person that it was going for.
Over on the eastern coast of the United States, Dateline Washington Post. After a tight race, a French bulldog was elected mayor of a small town in Kentucky.
Oh, is it a town we know?
Yes, sir. It's a town that if you follow me on Facebook, you're familiar with due to T-shirts and photos about from July 4th a few years back.
Is it a town named after a breakfast food made of rabbits?
Sure. As the country anxiously awaits for the final president's election results for days on end, one Kentucky town was resting easy after the victor of its own heated election was declared on Election Day. Wilbur, a 6-month-old French bulldog, was named the mayor of Rabbit Hash, Kentucky, out on the outskirts of Boone County. This tiny town is the home of fewer than 500 people, who, as far as pet politics go, are deeply divided. He's a good-looking guy there. The town had never had a human mayor, but each election cycle, people from all around the world cast their votes to elect a canine one. It's mostly just for fun and a distraction from the tense human politics, but each voter pays $1 per vote. That seems like a bribe to me, but anyhow, each voter pays.
Keep that trading post up and running.
Each voter pays $1 per vote, and the proceeds goes to the Rabbit Hash Historical Society. This year, they raised nearly $23,000.
That's awesome. So they had 23,000 votes in a town of 500 people.
Although the 2020 race was razor thin, Wilbur managed to come out on top in Tuesday's final tally, beating out the incumbent Gwyneth Paltrow. Gwyneth Paltrow, or Mayor Brian as he is known, a brown and white pit bull who entered office after being elected in 2016. Mayor Brian, who is 7, would not have enough support to clinch his second term. We think this is the most important election of 2020, said Bobby Kazier, president of the Rabbit Hash Historical Society. The town tradition of electing the animal to oversee the community has started in 1998 when Boone County, which governs Rabbit Hash, was celebrating its 200th anniversary. They asked that all mayors to honor the birthday, but Rabbit Hash didn't have a mayor at the time, and so they voted one in. One thing I didn't know, apparently to be eligible to be the mayor of Rabbit Hash, and I'm not sure how the logistics works, and I don't know if this article Rabbit Hash 18, blah, blah, blah. From what I understand, each nominee has to be able to chase a rabbit from their home to the general store within an hour. I don't know if that's a real rabbit, a fake rabbit, or how the logistics works on that. But that is the new mayor of Rabbit Hash. Only thing that would be better than a French Bulldog would be a Boston Terrier. But I digress.
Is it me or is Frenchie's taking over the world?
Well, I'm stuck on Frenchie TikTok, but yes, that's because they're so damn cute and they're very, very vocal.
But I hear that they're also very delicate.
Yes, they
health-wise.
Hey, send us an email to info@d-410.com or go on Facebook page. If you want a free What's in Your Head podcast sticker, let us know. All we need is your address and your name, and we'll mail it to you. The only caveat being is we prefer, unlike that, you put it somewhere where it can be seen. There is a little cost in making these things and mailing them out. I would prefer they not end up on your refrigerator in your garage unless you have hundreds of people come over. And as was mentioned when we brought this up on the What's the Scuttlebutt podcast, my co-host on that, Jeff Copsetta, he actually had 2 barbers out in Texas where he lives that allow him to put the sticker on their mirror so that when people are getting their haircuts, they're staring at our logo. But if you want a free sticker, no cost to you, email us at info@d-410.com or send us a message on our Facebook page. Just need your name, address, and preferred color, and I will send you to you for free. Just put them somewhere some people can see them. That'll be great. And Gordon, you have anything to go out on tonight?
I think that is it, man. That is absolutely it.
Well, thank you guys so much. It's been a great week so far. It's been a long week. I got a thing I got to do tomorrow with Lowe's. We'll talk about next week, see how that works out. That'll be fun. But anyhow, I got to do that tomorrow. And remember, if you never get out of your comfort zone, you'll never get out of bed. So get up, challenge yourself like I'm going to do this weekend at my next Savage Race, and work on making your life better and happier. And thank you guys so much. And we will see you all next week. Same bat station, same bat time. It's the What's in Your Head podcast. We're consistently inconsistent and all that good stuff.
Something like that.
See y'all next week. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
This has been a Digital 410 production.